we're moving away from Coventry now. Basically, it's your next steps. You find yourself, which I'm sure many people have been in your position, thousands every year. You find yourself released from an academy without a club. It's actually, you answered one of my questions earlier. Did you have any offers to stay in the UK? And then you end up going over to America. How did that come about?
A guy called James Balshaw was training at Coventry at the time. A goalkeeper, very good goalkeeper. And he actually had just completed 4 years over in America at Duke University, one of the best schools in the world. And he came over and he knew I was being released. I told him being released. And he said, yeah, speak to this guy. This guy's name's called Sam Craven, who now owns probably the biggest, most successful company called Vertex Soccer, which transfers ex-scholars out to the US. And at first, I was quite an early one for Vertex. And I remember sitting, I had a phone call with Sam one evening about 6 o'clock. He asked me the question, do you want to go to America? I said, yeah, sure. What, to get school paid for and to go and live somewhere? Yeah, no problem. Except first you think I'm going to go out there and be a pro.
Yeah.
Come to that point after. And he said, well, where do you want to go? I said, Florida or California, obviously. Which
I bet everyone says that.
And you know what? Not everyone got as lucky as me. And I got so lucky that there was a school in St. Petersburg, Florida, who needed a goalkeeper. And his best friend at the time, Will Thacker, was an alum for this school. And they said, we need a goalkeeper. Worked out perfect. Within a week, I was on a phone call on a Zoom over there. The head coach at the time said, this is what we can offer you. I was like, yeah, done deal. About a week later, my mum called me, Alex, looks amazing. Where are you going? Like, I'd committed off pictures, remember, and being in Florida, private beach on the campus. Says, just looked at the schedule last year. They lost 6-1, 6-0, 5-1, 7-0. And she says, what are you going there for? And then at that moment, I was like, well, you're
committed to it now.
This is just incredible. And you know what? There was a bunch of English lads on the team. When I first went over there, I remember actually I flew over on August the 9th, 2014. August 9th, 2014. I flew a day late. And I remember, funny enough, he's my roommate and one of my best friends now. Richard Ainskill, his name is. He was the first person to greet me. And then it was just such a cool experience. He'd come from Blackburn. There was guys there that had come from Barnsley. There was just all these different guys there. It was just super cool. There's about 7 English lads there.
So, you tell your parents you're moving, and I'm sure you won't mind me saying you had a missus at the time as well. How did they react to that? Was that quite difficult, or were they completely behind you?
Oh, completely behind me. My parents have always been phenomenal with both me and my brother and my sister. My brother actually now lives in Sydney, Australia, so we've always had incredible foundations. The cliche is, but your parents give you your roots and then they give you the wings to fly. That couldn't be any truer of my parents. At the time, I had a wonderful girlfriend. I now fully lives in China with her new partner, and I was young. I was 18 years old, and I didn't necessarily think that it was going to work out the way it did. Unfortunately, about 3 months into me being in the US, me and my ex-girlfriend had split up, and it was probably for the best. It was never fair, but I can't remember one person that never told me it was the right decision. I had full support from everyone, and it makes a big difference. It makes a really big difference when you get that.
Yeah, because obviously I'm a university student, and my mum, she was really behind me going to university, but she didn't want to let me go when the moment come. So right. But
yeah, it was really cool, really cool, and my parents had always made sure that I was higher my education as well. My GCSEs, funnily enough, actually got me into the school. There was times when I went to St. Thomas Morning, and there was times I didn't even go to school. Went to school maybe once a week because I was out training. But especially my dad was big on, there's always going to be a plan B. Plan B is going to be your education route, and it turned out to be in that way. And now you're looking, I'm sitting talking to you in 2022, and I'm still in America. So it's just been a whirlwind of a journey.
So student life in the United States, I'm sure there's things you probably can't say, but give us a taster.
Different. I think it was really weird at first because obviously in England you can legally drink alcohol at 18. In America you can legally drink alcohol at 21. So I came over and I've been able to, be a bit more social. And all of a sudden I came to this country and I was like in prison. In not literally, you know what I mean, but like in a sense, I couldn't do anything. And it's such an interesting culture. It's the Americans, they're a cool group. They're a cool group, and I've been really, really, really fortunate with all the Americans I've met. I've got friends now all around this country. And I know that if I ever really needed help, I'd be able to call someone in a different state. And that all comes from just, I think the big thing is, well, people are bought into our culture. There was a group of us English guys there, and they bought into our culture. We bought into their culture. And I think, if you don't go somewhere and buy into their culture, it's never going to work.
No,
so
exactly.
Ultimately, when you live in a different country, you have to live by their culture. To a certain degree, because you don't want to change who you are. But, you can't say some certain things. You have to be respectful of certain ways and certain things. So you got to be careful you don't become Americanized in the sense that you don't want to forget where you're from. But like, I have had so much fun in this country, and I've met so many incredible people, and it was really cool. My freshman year roommate, which is obviously your first year, his dad, his name is Peter Arts, and he's now actually the general manager of Gymshark, which is just incredible. But he was a co-founder of one of the biggest soccer coaching companies in the US called Challenger Sports. A bunch of English guys came over years and years ago, made it this multi-million-dollar company. And actually, he then set up a way that in my first summer, I went and traveled the country, coached football camps, paid for. So all of a sudden, I was on 17 different flights over the summer. Hectic, but
but really good.
Yeah, and I'm just a kid from Bedworth. And all of a sudden, I'm all these different areas. I think this is just out of this world. And just the doors that have been opened are just crazy. But we have fun. We have a lot of fun. The party culture is what people see on TV. They see the Red Bull Cups. It is what it is. Probably not as crazy as American Pie maybe shows, but it's up there in certain environments.
So I shan't keep you too much longer because I understand you're very busy. But just a couple more questions. 3 more questions. Your role now, just explain it to us, really.
So I am the men's soccer director operations at UCF, which is University of Central Florida, the second biggest school in the country. It's an interesting position in the sense of in college athletics, in men's soccer, you have 4 full-time positions, 1 for head coach, 2 assistant coaches, then you can have an operations guy. So I'm not allowed to do any coaching. I don't do anything with the players with the ball, which therefore leaves a lot of the point is when you have these resources that you have 3 coaches that deal with the soccer coaches, and then a lot of the administrative work and all the other little bits of the program can fall on you. I really enjoy my job. I don't want to coach. I have no desire to coach, but I love the game. It's my whole life. And I feel as though I can have a really big impact on the players' lives from the other stuff, doing a lot of help with their. We have a heavy international group here at UCF, so they become heavily reliant on us because they don't have the support system that a domestic kid would have as much in the country. But like it's really big with a lot of compliance, marketing, a lot of all the financial stuff.
Yeah.
I like to describe my job as being able to do as much as possible
Yeah.
to help the coaching staff and the players be able to do their job.
Yeah.
And I've always
Right.
been like that. I've always been a busy person.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I've always
Yeah.
been a busy person. I've always liked doing all the other stuff behind the scenes which people don't enjoy. And I think me liking that has put me in this position. This is, in my mind, this is the best operation job in the country. And
Yeah.
I've got it. And I'm really, really fortunate that I have it. I live in Orlando. We have great resources. We get paid in blue skies. I've been really fortunate that through my time here, UCF has helped me with my school. So I'm actually finishing up in March now. In May, I'll have my second master's degree.
Yeah.
They're helping with my visas. So I'm in a great environment here. We're spoiled, really spoiled, especially with how big American football is, especially at UCF. It's big. Facilities are phenomenal. We've just opened up a new multi-million-dollar soccer operations center. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very fortunate.
So football in the United States is, well, would you say growing rapidly?
Rapidly. There's a lot of traction. TV's getting bigger, money's getting bigger. I don't think they've solidified that path. Like in England, we have the academy path.
Yeah.
It's not been solidified yet in the US. I
Yeah.
think they're really working hard to do it, but it hasn't been solidified. But it's getting there. There's a lot of people that are putting a lot of time into it, but it's not been solidified. The direct route up into the teams, into the pro world. Like whereas in England, you obviously you come through the academy, you go, you do it, and then you do it, and then hopefully you get a big boy contract at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of you go through the college system here, and then you get into it. Hopefully, but then all of a sudden you've got the college system, so you're surrounded by extremely clever people. You know, like you look at Duke, for example, where James Belshaw went. It's a really high academic school. So if football doesn't work out, they can go on and make millions and something else because they're going to be really smart kids. But the game in general is growing huge. You've obviously got in America, you've got the big three: American football, basketball, baseball. Soccer here is getting there.
Right. Final question, and it's just about just a quick general football chat. Obviously, you've left the club, you've gone on to pastures new, and you've done extremely well for yourself. But you're still a City fan. You still take notice of the results, and I can imagine the club when you were there and the club now, it's chalk and cheese, really. But you did come over for a game, didn't you, over Christmas?
I did. I was home actually, and in the space of being home, I should have watched 3 home games. 2 of them got cancelled because of COVID. But then on I went to the Millwall game and we lost 1-0, and we were shocking.
Well, it's fitting,
shocking.
really. Just typical Coventry City.
No, I mean, I couldn't believe it. And I sat there with my dad and his mates, and I just thought, it's unbelievable. I'm so excited to go. And I'm like, this was awful. And, you know, there was obviously a lot of things going on with COVID at the time. There was a lot of, you know, players not missing out, although I've been in that position here at UCF. When we were in the mix of COVID, we were COVID tested 3 times a week. So I've been through it. So in my mind, I couldn't feel that sympathy. I didn't understand why clubs weren't allowed to use academy players. I didn't understand why that rule wasn't forgiven. I think it's a great opportunity to embrace that. You know, and I felt when I came home, there was too many external factors that were being used as an excuse. That's how I felt a little bit. And I don't think that was the right time for the club, because the club's projecting this way. Projecting this way. We could have used that moment, say, okay, no matter what's going on, how can we continue to do it? And the result may never pan out. But watching it against Millwall, it was such a deflated performance. It was like no one wanted to be there. And it was a great crowd. It was a big, important game, and Millwall wanted to be there. You know? And you had these guys that obviously travelled up on the day of the game. You had fans that had come from Millwall who were getting back to London at 2 a.m. in the morning. And it felt like they wanted it more. And, you know, it was disappointing, but it doesn't change things. You know, I follow weekly the people in this office that actually now follow Coventry because of it. actually, funny enough, our lawyer for this department is a huge English football fan. And just before I was getting on the phone to you, he came over to me and said, "Your boys dropped a game last night." I said, "I don't want to talk about it. I'm about to talk about it now for the next hour."
We'll not talk
there's a lot of
about that.
passion.
No, it was a poor match.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion for it, and people like it.
But
different culture.
just must be pleased as punch, like I am really on a whole. I know last night was a bit of a write off, but you must be pleased as punch as how the club's doing now, especially when you were there and how well broken the club probably was. Like I said earlier, it's probably chalk and cheese really, but you must be buzzing.
It does. It fills me with a lot of pride, and I am thankful for it, and I also appreciate why you doing things like this, because there was a lot of guys there who, in the midst of when it was really bad, stuck there. They stuck with it, and not that we need to remember because we didn't do anything amazing and special, but we stuck with it, and we were Cov fans who stuck with it. And what happened was, we now still, if you call Ivor Lawton still is a huge Coventry City fan, no matter what happened. And that's the thing, it's like, no matter what happened, I love Coventry City, and I'll always follow Coventry City. Because forget all the other stuff. I remember walking up Highfield Road, holding my dad's hand at 8 years old. That's the most important part. And there'll be a time in my life where I'm holding my kid's hand, walking towards the stadium. And that's the reality of it. And I love to see where the club's going right now. I do. And hopefully one day they're back in the Premier League. It's funny, all the guys I work with here are big Arsenal fans. And there was a time it was really funny when obviously we were at the top at the start of the year and Arsenal were right there at the bottom. I was like, we're only 4 spots away, mate. But you know, it's
It's good. It's good to see where the club is.
Premier League, but
getting back there. Be nice to have a season in there.
There's a buzz. Listen, there's a buzz around the city still. There's a buzz, and it drives the economy. It drives the people. It brings people out. I said this to my dad over Christmas. There's a new generation of fans right now, and it's because the team's doing well. My generation, our generation, Alex, was
I feel that a lot of people my age, because of what was going on, and to be fair, because I really blame them, just didn't really bother watching Cov. But now I see so many families going up now, and I see so many new faces, and I think success breeds success, really, and the club just needs to keep going on the track it's going.
Couldn't agree more, mate. And I said that to my dad. I said, I've never seen more father and son relationships. And it was a Tuesday night against Millwall. I just looked around and thought, there's your new generation. And this is why. And this is why it has to continue. And this is why we have to keep breeding it in the community and keep building. Lower ticket prices more often. Get more fans in stadium, because you're not doing it for today and tomorrow. You're doing it for a year, 10 years. And Coventry is such a traditional football club. You look, when we go away, the followings that we take away it's making the hair go up, because it brings back so much. That only comes because of the environment that's being created, and it has to live. Because there's a kid now in 20 years who has this conversation with someone else that remembers being a mascot in 20 years, and those are the moments, and they're priceless. They're priceless. What my dad done for me, me and my parents have a incredibly close relationship on both sides, but I don't think there's quite a relationship like it, where me and dad in football, and when we walked in and we took a little photo in the stadium, it was really special for me, really special, because it brings back a lot. And I mean, you've seen me and my dad with your dad. You've seen it with all the fathers, and you've seen the passion, and you can feel free to share whatever you've seen in that sense. But there's a passionate group, and you just hope it continues with the other generations.
Yeah, well, I think that's quite a nice note to end on. Alex, thank you ever so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I know there's a bit of a time difference, and we have had to rearrange a few times, but honestly, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out. And I can understand your schedule's probably really busy, so you've had to squeeze me in. And it will have been edited out, but Alex did get a phone call from his boss during this as well, so I can imagine he's straight on the phone to him after this. But Alex, thank you ever so much. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon. All right.